Their movies were legend.
Action. It's called Behind the Green Door. It's like a silent picture throwback. It's really a great acting role.
Looks like Behind the Green Door could take it anywhere between $30 and $40 million this year, guys.
Their lives were controversial.
You're under arrest, Mr. Mitchell. FBI.
Can't you give us a break? Not this time, kid. Too much pressure. Pressure? From where? City Hall, Chamber of Commerce, Legion of Decency. What do you think?
Their legacy was murder.
And I can't trust my own brother. You set me up. You don't know what you're doing! Behind my back!
Well, anyone who's familiar with the adult industry, the porn industry, going back to the early days, is familiar with these legendary brothers who has made a good sizable over 200 shorts and feature films. Of course, their rise to fame and the tragedy that happened due to the situations that they went through. The legendary Mitchell brothers, if you're not familiar with them, you could take this out right now on Amazon Prime. There is a movie starring Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez, which basically gives you a little taste of the life of the Mitchell brothers, called Rated X. And, their films are pretty famous to the classic industry itself, to the adult industry. Stuff like The Resurrection of Eve, Sodom and Gomorrah, The Autobiography of the Flea, and of course the movie that made Marilyn Chambers a star, Behind the Green Door, which basically, if you're not familiar with it, it literally broke down the walls of censorship, as the Mitchell brothers has been in and out of court on obscenity charges in this period, and this is why we continue to fight the good fight to keep the porn industry right in the open and not being censored or purged, as some would say. But now, to keep this catalog alive, there are those who have stepped forward that are now bringing back these films into the spotlight. But before we start, I just want to take a moment to tell you thank you for those who have subscribed. We really do appreciate it. We're well over 1,400 subscribers and continuing to grow on that. So remember, drop a comment, a like, share, and hit that subscribe button. It's very important. Thank you to those who have already. And for those of you who haven't, take this moment, hit that subscribe. Also, remember, we have a merch shop with anti-censorship t-shirts available right now. We're running a 10% sale. Promo code VPN10. You'll get 10% off. When you close out your shopping cart there, you put it in at the end. You'll get 10% off your purchase. And that's today, running straight through the middle of the month. And thank you again. So, from AVN, and I'm sorry if I butcher this name, Mélusine acquires relaunch Mitchell Brothers film XXX film catalog. Distribpix and Vinegar Syndrome, under Mélusine umbrella, have acquired the legendary Mitchell Brothers film catalog, including the iconic film Behind the Green Door with the legendary star Marilyn Chambers. Between 1969 and 1989, Jim and Artie Mitchell produced and directed more than 200 shorts and features, often created in collaboration with members of the Cinema 7 Film Collective. Their body of works encompass some of the most celebrated erotic blockbusters of the 1970s, including The Resurrection of Eve, Sodom and Gomorrah, the Autobiography of the Flea, while the landmark 1972 production Behind the Green Door broke down the walls of censorship, as few films either before or after a press announcement reads. A virtual instant commercial and critical hit, notable for its progressive attitudes towards sexual liberation, as well as exceptional visual effects work. Green Door launched its star Marilyn Chambers into international fame. Following the success of the film, Chambers will quickly become one of the most recognizable and influential sex symbols of all time. And remember, she did a bunch of films outside of the porn industry. It's low budget. I think she did like a horror too, and a couple of those sex romp films that you would catch on Cinemax. Throughout their careers, the Mitchell brothers advocated tirelessly against censorship and in the defense of free speech and artistic expression, fighting countless battles in both local and federal courts and winning victories which helped them safeguard the First Amendment rights of all Americans. Meanwhile, out of their San Francisco base, O'Farrell Theater, they launched an erotic film empire, including operating a movie theater chain, helping to bring theatrical films to home video, and creating often controversial live shows. In the 1980s, they continued pushing boundaries in the face of the AIDS crisis by promoting safe sex practices and creating the very first safe sex hardcore film, Behind the Green Door, the sequel in 1986, along with the educational short Missy's Guide to Safe Sex in 87. The announcement continues. The acquisition, Distribpix and Vinegar Syndrome, of the Mitchell Brothers Film Group catalog was facilitated by Ashley West, proprietor of the website and podcast, The Rialto Report, a curated source for the oral and cultural history of American sexploitation and hardcore cinema from the earliest days of nudes through the VHS boom of the 1980s. Speaking of significance of the Mitchell Brothers, West said, "I am delighted to have assisted in bringing the Mitchell Brothers Film Group catalog into Mélusine. The group of film is arguably the most important West Coast collection of its kind, and much of it has never been seen in its original release. I can dictate to that. There is no better company to oversee the project of curating and reissuing this historical significant collection and thus properly revealing much of the exciting, untold story of the early adult film industry." Owner of Distribpix, Stephen Morowitz, echoed the enthusiasm, saying the Mitchell brothers were the cornerstone in creating of the adult cinema and have rightly been celebrated among the most important figures in the genre's history. It brings me immense pride to continue distribution of the impressive filmography through the joint efforts of Distribpix and the Vinegar Syndrome, thus connecting the historic legacies of adult cinema on both East and West Coast. Without Ashley, this acquisition would have never had happened, and I'm extremely grateful for all of its hard work and dedication to the preservation of classic adult film history. I cannot think of another person who has done more to record and save the stories of this industry. Co-founder of Vinegar Syndrome, Joe Rubin, added, "It has been a dream come true to acquire the rights of the Mitchell Brothers Film Group in partnership with Distribpix, and even more exciting to bring their film elements into our archive. Their works represents the critical bridge between the underground and experimental film worlds and into commercial hardcore features. Always rebellious and never afraid to push the blue noses buttons as artists as well as activists, this collection is a crown jewel with amazing discoveries still being made as we explore its content." Distribpix and Vinegar Syndrome will introduce the Mitchell Brothers catalog on a home video starting November of 2025 with the 4K UHD and Blu-ray debut of Behind the Green Door. This deluxe 3-disc edition will present a new 4K restoration of the feature as well as a new extensive new and archive extras. Contributing extensively to the release is Jared Stearns, the author of the recent published Pure, The Sexual Revolutions of Marilyn Chambers, a comprehensive biography of Chambers, as well as her role in the success of the Mitchell Brothers, Stern's expertise on Chambers, the Mitchells, and San Francisco will feature several video and audio pieces on this initial release, as well as subsequently Mitchell releases featuring Chambers. Well, there's one more video I have to add to my list, but I did say tragic onto this situation. And the thing about it is, these guys fought hard for freedom of speech, but of course, things about in that time period, alcohol, cocaine, they did affect them. It affected them at that time. And because of that, in 1991, Jim went out and shot his younger brother dead. And Jim was arrested and spent time, 3 years in San Quentin. And he returned to run everything on that until his death in 2007 from a heart attack onto there. But like I said, these guys were the porn industry at the time. They were. I mean, they fought the fight. I mean, you had their end, and the other half of the war zone for obscenity laws. You had Larry Fitt fighting on the other half of this. And this is what was happening. You look to this situation. And like I said, when you get a chance, check out the Charlie Sheen movie on this. The laws that were back then, they're trying to bring back today. And look how they were handled. I mean, these guys were arrested on a daily basis because of the movies they made and because of the way they're basically distributing it through these theaters. Their theaters were raided. Their businesses were raided. This is what happened in this time period. Do we really want to go back to that? Is that where we want to go, in that direction? Also, Marilyn Chambers is no longer with us. She passed away in 2009 of a cerebral hemorrhage following a ruptured artery on there. But her film biography is extensive, both in the adult industry and the B films that she also appeared in throughout history. But like I said, this is a good acquisition. This is a very good acquisition, especially for Vinegar Syndrome onto there, because they've been one of the big ones to preserve a lot of the great classics, the horror, the pornography, to the point, and some of the newer stuff that just doesn't get the light of day, and they try to bring it forward to the industry itself. And we're going to continue looking on that. I'm not certain who's going to put out who's going to be selling that. I would assume it'll be probably directly through Vinegar Syndrome on there and through a couple of especially outlets. But that, like I said, that'll be one on my list. A 4K restoration. I mean, for those of you who are familiar with the porn industry and all that, and those of you who are trying to get into filmmaking, take a moment and go catch Behind the Green Door. I mean, it happens to be very well done for a pornographic movie. I mean, when I say that pornography is listed as an art or a form of art, this is what we're talking about. There are many films out there that, especially made by the Mitchell brothers, that are artistic. Yes, there's artistic expression in pornography, even though it has sex in it. There are other films that, from Hollywood are the same way as well. We could talk about Caligula. We could talk about any of the Brian De Palma films on there, Dress to Kill, Body Double, to that point. And, you look at Behind the Green Door, this is the point. And remember, the era we're talking about is we're walking into the VHS era. They started out, even though they started out in the 60s, we're walking into the VHS era, which was a major boom when we went to video, straight to video on there, because we went from Super 8 to VHS, which was a lot easier to manufacture. And then, of course, the role of the AIDS epidemic in that time period and what had to be done by the industry to maintain itself, because that was one of the big things, was that how could you handle making a porn movie with sex in it and to be sex safe? And Mitchell Brothers put out, they put out in themselves a movie that basically allowed to explain what to do. I mean, this is what was going on in this time period. This is also similar to, as we're talking from the censorship point of view, when we go back to the public access days of the gay cable network with Lou Matella, the situations that he went through, that, basically he tried to help educate and bring news out of what's going on in the AIDS crisis in the gay community. In fact, they were on the floor of the Democratic and Republican national conventions, covering the coverage back as far back as 87 and 93. In fact, his show was preserved by NYU, New York University, NYU. They acquired 6,100 VHS tapes of the broadcast throughout its 19 years to preserve that as well. So with those of you out there that say like, yeah, pornography doesn't deserve to be here. Oh, it's all evil and all that. Think to the situation that it has a part in our lives. Yes, it's sex, which basically is a driving stone in our lives, because that's who we are as humans. Or in a way you could say animals, because we are technically on to that point. But on the other hand, the other half of it is there are those parts of it that bring out artistic expression. Also, it brings an appeal to assist in the community as far as the community goes, as far as health goes to that point. Because there have been many things that have been put out by many adult stars, some who have left the industry and has gone into the medical profession to promote safe sex to that point. So drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts about this. Have you been a Marilyn Chambers fan, and you're excited to check out what it is? Are you a person that's learning to film, go into the film industry, making films, interested in the process that they did and how they shot this on there? I want to hear your comments, and also want to hear those in opposition that basically they're saying like that this shouldn't exist to that point, and why. Let me know to that point. Don't forget to share, like, and don't forget to subscribe. So until next time, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to check out Babylon 5 Retrospective this Wednesday night, 11 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube. And we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye now.